Most of us in the tactical community, or those of us who are in a self-defense capacity online, looking at different information about, hand-to-hand tactics, edge weapon combatives, obviously firearms in a defensive capacity, we're all focused on what's the enemy going to do and how do I negate that. And while it may seem like semantics, I think we're often confused about who the enemy really is. There's an example given sometimes about the window and the mirror. And if you imagine yourself on the second story of a building and you're looking out the window at all of your potential problems, all of your potential enemies. And so just come up creatively with what are the things you're really training to address? What's the situations you're trying to survive? And you're looking out of this metaphorical window at those scenarios waiting for you out there in the real world. And as you start to break apart each one of these scenarios, I see the potential mugging over here, the active shooter situation there, someone's trying to kidnap my kid at the grocery store over here, or whatever the case may be, home invasion. You see all these things out there in this pretend environment out this window. You'll notice that there's an unlimited amount of potential situations, an unlimited amount of potential enemies that you could be being prepared for. And I think maybe, once again, it's a semantics argument, but I think we might be better suited to take our eyes just for a moment off of that window and turn over here and look at that mirror. Because if I'm looking out of the window, what can I really do about what's waiting for me out there? Sure, I can be smart about how I travel, when I travel, where I travel. Am I by myself or alone? What kind of gear do I have? But we start to get into things that are more about the mirror. What do I see in the mirror? How am I prepared? What am I taking? What's my decision making? And the more you start to think about the window and the mirror, your victories are won over here. The time needs to be spent over here. The enemy is over here. Now, I'm not saying that we are our own enemy, but most of the worst scenarios in your life, and there are obviously exceptions to this, but most of the worst things that have happened in your life have been because of our own poor decision-making ability. Okay, we are our biggest problem more often than not. Sure, the environment can present issues. There's that horrible atrocities that can happen completely outside of your control, but isn't that sort of the point about the window and the mirror? So much of what we're focused on is outside of our control. I cannot dictate what is going to happen out there. I can play statistics. I can use common sense and rational choice theories, and I can try to prepare the environment and pick the environment to the best of my ability, but ultimately at the end of the day, what's outside of that window is going to do what it wants to do. I may be able to influence that in terms of how I relate to that environment and which environment I place myself in, but at the end of the day, what's outside of that window is going to do what it's going to do. I can only control what I'm looking at in that mirror. What's standing in front of me there? How is that person prepared? What's between his ears? How is he thinking about tomorrow? Is he being lazy? Is he dropping the ball? These are the things that are really standing in our way. It's our own flaws. It's our own lack of preparedness. It's our own laziness, our unwillingness to bend our thought patterns and to address new ideas and to innovate our own perspectives. That's really the enemy. We hear the phrase all the time, know your enemy and know yourself. Really, I would say that maybe those are the same thing. That the greatest enemy we can face is in that mirror. And not doing the things we can do about the things we absolutely can control. I'm not saying we have total control of everything that's in that mirror. I'm 5'9". I'll never be 6'4". There's nothing I can do to control that. Okay, but I have a way more effect and power over what's in that mirror than I do with what's outside that window. So if I really want to be prepared about the infinite amount of potential enemies, those are all secondary. What I need to do is focus on what's over there. How am I bettering what's in that mirror? And I'm not just talking about your tactics. I'm not just talking about your training. This is a holistic idea. From top to bottom, left to right, what can I do internally and externally, and what that reflection represents? You know, am I putting myself in the position to be successful, or better yet, be significant? You know, success is what you do for yourself. Significance is how you impact others. Am I becoming a leader? Leadership is nothing more than influence of others. It's not a title. It's an approach to relationships. Anybody I'm influencing, I am leading. So if leadership is nothing more than influence, how do you get influence? Trust. What's trust based on? Relationships. So am I becoming a better leader? Am I improving every day? Am I listening more than I think? Am I having solutions, not complaints? Am I working hard? Am I doing the right thing? Am I being patient with the things I can't control? And yes, of course, am I dedicating myself to whatever abilities that I feel are necessary? Am I training the appropriate way and to the appropriate amount to achieve the things I like to believe that I could achieve out there? When I step out of this metaphorical room and down the stairs and I'm in that environment and I'm looking out there and I'm waiting for the environment to do what it's going to do, have I spent the time in the mirror to be ready to go out the window? And so, yes, it's semantics, but I would say if you're really going to know your enemy, spend as much, if not more time in that mirror as you do in that window.